Let me teach y'all something. Y'all see how this say it's an additional dollar for any debit card purchase? Pull your phone up. Google, is it illegal for him to charge you a surcharge on the debit card? When they do this, y'all, this is illegal in Michigan for them to charge you a surcharge for using a debit card. I'm about to screenshot it and show y'all on Google, but let him tell it he's not about to sell me this because he got a surcharge, right, on a debit card. So we about to see. Mind y'all, I'm not petty. I only made a big deal about it because, for one, what Bryce was trying to buy was $1, okay? It was $1. And the fact that he was telling him he had to charge him an additional $1 for a surcharge. So when Bryce called me, I'm like, he can't do that. You're using a debit card. Like, he can't charge you a surcharge on a debit card. So Bryce was like, he's still trying to charge me. So I'm like, okay. So I get up and walk up there because, mind you, it's not far from my house. It's like a block away. So I walk down there. I'm basically telling the man in the store too, like, you can't charge him. So when he started making it seem like I was fucking outside of my motherfucking neck in front of my child, like I was a dumb one.
You gonna have to start back using cash, you feel me? You go outside, you go to the gas station, you go to the stores, you try to use your card, they charging you an extra 20 cents, extra $1, extra $2. It's like, for what? Like, let me go ahead and just give you cash. Like, the games they be playing, y'all, the games they be playing.
I went to 3 places today that charged me a fee for using my debit card. And look, I live in the state of Indiana. This is illegal. They do not get a fee for using a debit card. So what they're doing is they're charging you an extra fee, and they're lying to you. Everywhere I went today, they wanted to charge me a fee. And when I questioned them about, okay, hold on. You can't charge a fee for using a debit card in the state of Indiana. The first thing she said was, we charge everybody for using a card. I said, hold on. Where's your manager? And she's like, hold on. And so the manager comes up, and I said, this is a debit card. I'm not paying a fee on a debit card. It is a direct transfer, and they don't charge you. And the guy looked at her and said, void the fee. So this is what I want you to know. Everywhere you're going that says there's a cash price and a price for a credit card, your debit card is not included. And it's against the freaking law when they charge that. Remember.
So I was talking to my main bitch, ChatGPT. We be chopping it up time to time again. And I was asking her, can you use, is it legal to charge a debit card fee? ChatGPT said, hell motherfucking no. Federal law say you can't do that shit. Then it say, if they do charge a debit card fee, it has to be a clear disclaimer telling you what the fee is, how much is for, yixer. Most of the time, we don't get the disclaimer. Getting a receipt that tells me that I was charged 50 cents for using my credit card is not a disclaimer. That's not a disclaimer. That's an invoice for my charge. You know, that's a payment statement summary. What are you talking about? All I know is somebody owed me 50 cents for every time I swipe this motherfucker from 18 to now. 5 years time.
So I heard this today and I had to find out for myself. So I punched it into, Google AI. And sure enough, it's true. Imagine the amount of times that I've gone someplace and they're like, well, 3% for running a card. And I didn't realize the difference. Like, I knew there was a difference, but I didn't realize, well, you can't do that with debit. And the amount of times I have been forced to pay a fee just to pay for the thing I wanted. It's almost gotten to the point now where you can't carry around enough cash to pay for things. Hundreds of dollars for stuff. Not to mention, it's dangerous. I went to the bank the other day and I was like, I need cash. And they just laid the cash out on the table in front of everybody, gave me an envelope and said, here you go. And I was like, you want me to walk out there with all that money you just gave me on the west side of Pensacola and nobody was watching and I'm just supposed to be safe? I mean, you didn't even make it like secret. You just handed it to me. And I never realized that they can't do that. They can't just charge you to run your debit card. The other day I called to pay for my water bill that they said that I needed to pay for. And it had been on auto debit for years. I told you all about this. And all of a sudden they're like, their processor failed to run it, so they needed me to pay for it manually. I'm like, okay, is there a fee to pay for it? And they're like, yes. I said, so your processor doesn't work, but then I got to pay you? Where is that right?
Go to talking about cash or card, I already know I'm finna leave it there.
Good. I mean, they finna try to charge you a fee for using your car. But it's 2025. Y'all charging fees for using cars. Get on out my face.
I mean, the margins on credit card fees, transactions for a credit card company is like 50%. And then they hit the smaller vendors the most, whereas like Walmart's doing like 1.5 points. Isn't that wild? It's already structured against the small business owner. We're in this situation now where everything's digital and most people won't carry around cash. Heck, if a cop catches you with cash, he'll take it from you like you're a drug dealer. Like, that makes sense. I mean, even if you're worth hundreds of thousands of dollars and you can prove it, they're going to seize it from you. How is that right? And if you're carrying around more than $10,000 in cash just about anywhere you go now, they'll seize that from you too. DEA has been caught many times grabbing it from people at the airport. It's just going to buy a car or something. Not everybody's a criminal, but if you're carrying around a wad of cash, people think you're like a drug dealer or something. It's insane. But as we'll hear right now from this attorney, she's going to prove it to you. Don't have to believe Jack. I'm just a dude in a side office trying to make YouTube videos.
In Texas? I do. You have a debit card? I do. Do you check your receipts every time you pay? I always do. And I'll tell you why. My name is Mandy Rodriguez. I'm actually a personal injury attorney in Texas, and it is illegal. It's against the law for any business other than schools and government agencies to charge you anything other than the cash price. They can't raise the price. They can't change the price. They can't even charge you a surcharge if you use your debit card. Why do I bring this up? Because once again this morning, I was charged a different price. When I brought it to the owner's attention, they said nothing and laughed. So I took a picture of the receipt. I took a picture of the menu, and I went online and filed a complaint with the Texas Attorney General. By doing this, the business is subjected to up to a $500 fine. I'm not doing this to punish the business. I just don't want to pay more than I'm supposed to be paying, and I would like the business to do the right thing. Again, my name is Mandy Rodriguez. I'm a personal injury attorney in Texas. Please check your receipts and don't get charged.
I mean, think about it. If they do that on 500 transactions over the course of a day, I'll say it's $2, $3, $4 per 200 or 300 transactions. Look how much extra they're getting off people just by not noticing. And I've noticed a lot of people now, they don't notice these things. They just swipe it and it's like whatever, and they don't realize they're giving it all back to the house. I'm just a firm believer that if it's $5, it should be $5, not this versus that, and, you know, processing and transaction fees. You know, Biden, I will say this, the junk fees he was trying to get rid of, I agreed with that. You should not have to pay, okay? And you should not have all these booking fees and random fees. Try to book a Airbnb or a hotel room or anything like that, and you'll see a massive amount of fees. There should not be all these fees. And I figured out, like in the state of California, they'll throw a surcharge on there for a tip, like it's mandatory. So then it's not a tip. So then people get the surcharge and they're like, well, I need a tip too. And then all of a sudden they're tipping on the surcharge. And how much are things? This is all inflationary, you know? Everybody has to have theirs, so it just keeps going up. I mean, if your food's 10 and then it's a mandatory surcharge for a tip, and it's 13, you know, it's like, how much are things? What do you think? Comments down below. I want to hear what y'all think about all this.
Minimum charge on a debit card. So I know not all of you are going to care, but for those who do, you know, you can report businesses such as like convenience stores and hair stores, etc., who charge or have a minimum charge on a debit card. For instance, you go into a beauty supply store or a convenience store and they say you have to spend at least $5 or whatever to make this purchase, or they'll charge like a 50-cent fee on top of the purchase if you don't want to make the $5 charge. It's illegal, and you can very well report them to either Visa or MasterCard, and there will be consequences because they know that it's illegal. And what they do when they do these surcharges is they're ultimately making the consumer pay for the fee that Visa and MasterCard charges that merchant for using their card machines. So if you run into a situation where you're being told that you need to pay a minimum amount, or they're going to add extra on there, you can go to the Visa card website. You can also go to the MasterCard website, depending on whichever you want to use. I personally prefer Visa because it's just easier and it's simpler to report. But yeah, there are consequences, and they don't just get warnings the first time because they already know what the case is. So they'll just go ahead and there will be, consequentially, there will be actions taken towards whichever merchant that is doing that. So just a little FYI for you, in case you didn't know.
For sure, start reporting them. And don't let these people slip it past you, because in the future, the only way to be able to pay for something will be digitally. And I will say carrying around cash is just not practical in this day and age, especially if you're trying to keep up with some type of balance sheet for your business. You need a debit card to be able to keep line items for bookkeeping. That's at least how I do it. I haven't figured out another way to do it with cash, because you wind up losing all the receipts, or they'll just like kind of fade away. But if you start reporting these people to know they can't do it, and if they give you lip, learn how to report them. It's just a drag and drop, and you'll be able to set somebody straight. And if they're skimming people, people need to know this. This is a really big deal, especially paying your bills.
Yeah, so I'm back with another little small update. So I went to the leasing office. I just got back from the leasing office or whatever. And it just wasn't sufficient enough for me. Like, that $51, y'all, did not sit right with my spirits. Like, I promise you, it did not sit right with my spirits. I have never paid that much to pay any bill, for that matter, a processing fee. Whether it's rent, car note, sale, whatever the case may be, I've never paid that much. So it wasn't sitting right with my spirits. And I know if it's not sitting right with my spirits, I know it's not sitting right with a lot of other resident spirits either. So I went to the lease now, because on the phone, I really felt like it kind of felt like she was dismissive, or she really didn't give a fuck, or maybe she really didn't know. I felt like it was just kind of like, bitch, you either pay the rent or you don't pay the rent. It don't fucking matter to me. That's the vibes that I was getting. But I could be wrong. I could be looking into it, because I was already still mad from last night from paying extra $51. So that's probably how I took it. And she probably wasn't even acting like that. So I went into the leasing office, because I was like, hey, how are you doing? Da-da-da-da. I'm apartment, da-da-da-da-da. I just need to know for another clarification as to why you guys are charging $51. So she did say that the $51 is the third party's fee, because the third party that they use and the third party that they are partnered with. Okay, cool. She also stated that, and I told her, and I said, well, ma'am, let me ask you something. You know that is very much so ridiculous, due to the fact of y'all already mentioned that y'all will be getting rid of money orders because y'all want everything to be digital. So it is very inconvenient for a lot of people to have to pay an additional $51 for their rent. Now, granted, that is insane. I said, to me, it seemed like it's some illegal shit going on, and it needs to be investigated, because I've never heard of that. And I need you to convince me, or I need you to explain to me, how did y'all come up with $51 that it was going to be sufficient enough for residents? And I really feel like y'all are leaving that part out when y'all are leasing these apartments out and leasing these units out. Because there's no way anybody would agree to move into a complex when you're making payments online, when majority of the world works online, and they're okay with paying $51. Like, I just don't see that happening. So she did say that they are also working towards that they have been working, and that they should be having everything finalized and corrected for next month, or whatever the case may have been, to finding a solution and a set processing fee price that the apartments will have. So, and I asked her to explain that, because basically that just means that when you go online, it'll have other options. Like, the girl in the comment was like, well, did you click the one that says pay without fees, as if I didn't do that before I made the first video, whatever the case may have been. But basically, when you go online, you're going to see an option to make a payment, and then it's going to say use Bilt or make a payment with credit or debit card. So it's going to give you more options instead of just built third party. It'll actually allow you to make a payment through your apartments instead of the third party. The third party is more of a partnership that they have with them for different reasons, different benefits, and you can, and a lot of those, like there are good benefits to that third party. When you make your payment online, some of that payment can be used towards you, if you're trying to get a house or build a house or something, those funds can be used for that. It's like a whole ordeal behind it, which is the reason why they're partnered with it, because it can be beneficial for someone who's thinking long term, where it's kind of like every time you're making a payment, you get points. Those points do add up, and every time you make a payment, your payment can turn into literally your down payment on your house. So I definitely get that. I understand that. Again, I'm not that mature to even care about that route, but hey, that's really what that was. So I let her know, I really hope that you guys do take in consideration what your residents are saying, and not just me, because who am I, but all of your residents are saying in regards to the payment processing fee is literally too high.
The other option that really fires me up, and I think is totally insane, is when they ask you to attach your bank account to pay for things, like usually paying like at the state or your insurance company, like, oh, just put in your bank account number and we'll just do it that way. You are literally attaching your bank account information to a processor that gets hacked on the rando. Okay, the city of Pensacola has been hacked I don't know how many times, because I keep getting letters saying that my information has been sent out there, and then now my bank account information is out there, and now all of a sudden I got to worry about my bank account getting a debit somewhere that I've never even heard of before, and then I can go fight with the daggum bank. Like, this stuff really needs reform. Really needs reform. Like, there should not be a put your banking account information in, put your debit card information in, or it's $35 to pay us. And oh, by the way, you can't send a check because that'll sit there forever because we don't have the manpower to run the checks like the IRS. You send them a check, 2 years later it gets cashed. Meanwhile, they hit you with interest on it until they cash it. It doesn't matter about when it was dated. I remember when I was renting my apartment, I got hit with this, and I never knew any better. Nobody taught me that they can't charge you for a debit card. I remember I was paying $20 extra to pay the rent online, and there was no option for debit credit. It was just pay online through their processor or drop it in the mailbox, and it would take them 3 days to accept it in the drop box, and then they would hit you with a late fee. And it was like late fee on late fee on late fee just because they didn't want to check their own mail, and it was all about when they received it, not when you dropped it. Like, some of this stuff is just gamed against you. Or like paying your bills, when there's not an ability to go down there and hand it to a processor, they make it so hard where you got to drop it in a lockbox, and it's got to be done. You're worried about somebody stealing your cash. And a lot of people don't have bank accounts. I was astonished when I moved to the west side of Pensacola and realized how many people don't have a bank account. It's a really big thing. Comment down below. What do you think about all this? This is very interesting, and I want to hear your thoughts, because did you know that this was a thing? I hope this goes worldwide, and I hope that this is a class action suit and we can get it back for the people. This is for the people, everybody.
Then I said, all right, let me just pay for it. And he said the minimum is $5.
Y'all ever walked into a corner store and saw a sign like this that says that there has to be a $5 minimum purchase in order to use a debit card? That is BS. They are not supposed to be doing that. When those stores and merchants get those contracts allowing them to use card processing with Visa and MasterCard, in that contract, it specifically tells them that minimum purchase amounts cannot be applied to transactions that are processed with a debit card. Which means that if you're using a debit card, they are not allowed to charge you a minimum. They just have to eat that processing cost, no matter how small the transaction is. Now, if you see a sign like this that says credit cards only with the minimum purchase, they are allowed to do that. It must not exceed $10. So if you're using a credit card and they try to make you purchase anything over $10, again, against Visa and MasterCard's terms of service. Y'all see any businesses or merchants doing that? Visa and MasterCard has a website where you can literally report those merchants, and it'll take away their ability to process card transactions, meaning they'll be a cash-only business. They take this very serious. I have a video that I posted last year where a corner store is literally mad at me right now because I reported them for doing this. So again, if y'all see this sign, remember, if it says debit card, They are breaking Visa and MasterCard's term of service. If it says credit card, it must not exceed $10. And y'all make sure to follow me for more videos.
Federal law, you cannot charge a debit card no fees. I'm starting to get freaking annoyed when I go into certain restaurants, right? In certain neighborhoods. They got two prices on the receipt, and this is like a credit card charge, right? So there was one charge, it was about $12, $13 on the card. I said, wait a minute, I'm paying you with a debit card. Guy says to me, no, it's the same price. I said, no. I said, it's a debit card. Call your manager over, that I can explain to him that there's a federal law. You cannot charge a debit card no fees. Then I Googled the thing. Then he shut his mouth. Imagine the people paying with a debit card and they don't realize it, that they're getting charged this money. That restaurant made an average of maybe $5,500 to maybe $6,000 extra on fees that he doesn't pay out. 4% on a debit card is cash money. So when they run your card, remember, it's a debit card. It's annoying the shit out of me. You know, that and freaking paper bags for 30 cents a bag. It's annoying the shit out of me of what we're getting ripped off on. Remember, I don't pay with credit card. Credit card is bad debt. I never go to a restaurant. I never go to a grocery store and pay with a credit card. Unless you guys are playing with it and you're building up your credit and you want to pay it off at the end of the month and pay it in full.
All right. I thought this was very interesting. I want to hear your thoughts. I think that you have to have an option to pay digitally without being charged for it. And then it's like, they should have to tell you how much is the food, how much is the item. I want to pay you, but I don't want to be dinged for paying you anything other than cash. I mean, there is a cost for cash, okay? Because the company still has to count it. They have to keep it safe. They have to take it to the bank. They have to, deposit it. And in a transaction cost, they got to run the card. There's always a cost to each side. So why is there not an option to pay with a debit card? Seems clean. Now, I will say this. I never use a debit card. And you'll say, Jack, why do you do that? Because when you get your account compromised, you're looking at the king of getting his account compromised. My wife got her bank account hacked too. Every time you swipe that card, you are putting your banking information out there. And if you have a lot of money in that bank, which whatever card you're using, don't have a lot of money in that account. Your money is somewhere safe, locked away behind a firewall that nobody knows where it's at. But the money you transact with in your account and you're using a debit card, if that card is compromised and you get in a war with the bank on whether you did or didn't, and it's not always, not your fault. Okay, you get in a war and the bank disagrees with you, your entire account can be compromised. It can be frozen. It can be stuck. Ask my wife. And if you're paying for car payments, house notes, whatever, out of that account, and that account is compromised and it takes you 90 days to get it back, then it's a problem. I did an entire video, probably 3 videos on this topic on this channel. Go check them out. When it happened to us, I always use a credit card. Now, I would love to just use a debit card. I just know for numero uno, probably because of this channel, I can't use a debit card. I always lock it away somewhere or I keep it locked on my phone. Now, here's the way to use your debit card safely. Use your debit card, put it back in your wallet, lock it on your phone, and you probably won't have any problems. Just be cognitive of you are using your banking information everywhere you go. As long as you become cognitive of that, I think that's a word, then you'll be okay. And that's all I got to say about this. Make sure they're not charging you for it because this adds up. Can you imagine everything you've paid for the last 10 years or whatever that you shouldn't have been charged on it and you didn't catch it? Could have been thousands of dollars. This would be a great class action lawsuit for somebody. And if you have figured this out, comment down below, I want to know. And if you've reported somebody, comment down below and report people. Let them know. They can't do this. We have to have the option because as a consumer, if we don't fight back, we're going to get stuck. See you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.